Hi lovely people, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Dua Lipa has released her third studio album titled Radical Optimism, and if you are like me, I have been anticipating this moment for 4 long years because although future nostalgia has had me in a chokehold to this day, I was looking forward to new music as I think Dua is one of the few pop stars we have who puts out fresh and imaginative songs and just really great bodies of work. So today, I wanted to take some time to review and analyze the album and provide my overall thoughts. On the opener track, which is interestingly called End of an Era, Dua takes listeners on a tropical, euphoric, and hypnotic ride that feels almost cinematic. The production does an incredible job at setting the scene of the carefree and unworried state of mind that Dua's in when she meets someone at a party and their aura immediately catches her attention, leading her to think she's falling in love. When Dua says, "I've lost all of my senses, this is my happy ending," it illuminates that Dua is in the point in her life where she is open to anything and she is strictly just trying to enjoy herself and have a joyous time. I think this is a great theme song for Dua's seemingly perpetual state of vacation that fans always think Dua is on. But no exaggeration, this is one of the best album openers I have heard in a while. She isn't really singing about anything profound or groundbreaking, but it simply just makes me feel good, and it just gets better with each and every listen. I stand by Houdini being one of the best songs to come out of 2023. It is a masterpiece from start to finish, and I will never forgive the general public for not elevating this song to become the hit that it deserves to be. In the track, which draws inspiration from famed magician Harry Houdini, Dua makes the declaration to her potential partner that they must prove themselves to her, otherwise she will quickly escape like Houdini. The production on this track is immaculate, and the last minute of the song is absolutely pristine, with a heavenly bridge and subtle harmonies that make me feel like I'm being transported into an alternate universe. I feel like this song had extremely mixed reviews when it was first released, but I could not care less because this song went diamond in my house and car. Training Season did not do anything for me when it first came out, but boy oh boy did it grow on me the last few weeks. I knew it was a solid follow-up to Houdini, but internally I felt like it would be something that would sound divine when performed live. Now, when I sing the melody of this song, for some reason all I can visualize is her performance at the Brit Awards this year, which was phenomenal. This song expresses the fact that she is no longer in her training season with men, and that when it comes to conversation, mutual understanding, closeness, and affection, she has no more patience for men who don't fit the criteria. Otherwise, much like her previous song suggests, she would be gone like Houdini. I think this song successfully builds upon the personal and artistic growth of Dua, and the music perfectly illustrates her sonic maturation as well. When discussing the inspiration for the song, Dua said, "I have been on a string of bad dates, and the last one was the final straw. The next morning I arrived to the studio to co-writers Caroline and Tobias asked me how it all went, and I immediately declared training season is over, and like the best day after debriefs with your mates. We had a lot of laughs, and it all quickly came together from there." Dua went on to say that, and while it is obviously about that feeling when you are just absolutely done telling people, men specifically in this case, how to date you right, it is also about my training season being over and me growing with every experience. I've never felt more confident, clear, or empowered. And while it may be that training season is never over for any of us, you start to see the beauty in finding that person to experience it with. You stop looking for the trainees and become more interested in having someone where you are and someone to grow with. I think Dua perfectly accomplished the goal with the message she intended to send out with this song, and wonderfully created a disco bop that reminds Dua's past dating prospects that they did not make the cut. These Walls is a lot more safer and boring than what I imagined or hoped it would be. It is like any other breakup song, and it's probably the one song on this album that deserves a banging, explosive production to elucidate how dramatic the energy shifts when a couple is arguing and no one is there to witness it but the walls. Dua mentioned that with this song, there's a thing that is said so many times that you can feel that energy when you walk into a room, and there have been two people that have been arguing or are upset. There's that heaviness you can feel whether you like it or not. It is almost something you can touch. She said she was very dialed in on this track because it is the inevitable conversation that no one really wants to have, as someone has to pull the plug on the relationship. As painful as it is, your gut instincts will tell you. I love the intent behind this song, but it was absolutely underwhelming. Whatcha Doing is a song I could tell that may not get the recognition it deserves now, but it may be a song that will get its just due years down the line. Dua sings about that point in the relationship where her control issues are taking a back seat, and she is surrendering the emotion she is feeling with the person she is with. I am in love with Dua's vocal performance on this song because the rawness in her tone appropriately fits the trepidation in her words, but also the eagerness she is also feeling to experience whatever is going to happen along for the ride. French Exit has immediately become one of my top 5 favorite songs from Dua because it is just so refreshing, breezy, and just overall invigorating. It is a 3-minute refresher on boundaries and a reminder to choose yourself first when your instincts tell you to leave. It might be messed up to leave someone without saying goodbye first, but sometimes you have to do what is best for your own sanity. The Mediterranean drums and guitar is a perfect chef's kiss to the confidence and slight element of seduction Dua is displaying with her French spoken word. I saw someone say that this song is something you would hear in Starbucks, and it's like, yes, that's true, but we have to admit that this is one of her best. Illusion makes a pretty convincing argument to me that Dua should be placed highly on the Mount Rushmore of the Queens of Dance. This song just gives Euro dance pop excellence, and it perfectly exemplifies the overarching theme of optimism and respecting one's boundaries when something or someone dares to challenge Dua's pursuit of happiness. It is so interesting how, lyrical-wise, this song and Whatcha Doing are polar opposites, but Illusion is essentially the end result of how Dua abandoned her control in Whatcha Doing to appease her partner, but whatever epiphany Dua experienced allowed her to see through the red flags that the old Dua would not have accepted in the past. When asked what was her eureka moment that helped her figure out the next phase of her album, Dua said it was a song called Illusion. That was a song where I felt like lyrically I got this radical optimism. I felt very strong in the moment when I was writing that song because it was really seeing past someone's BS, I guess for lack of a better word, and understanding it for what it is and just entertaining it for the hell of it, even though you see what's happening. But I felt in a stronger power position because I was like, maybe before I would have fallen for something like this, and now I could dance with the illusion and it's something for me too, you know? I think musically also, when Kevin and Danny came together and it was the live drums and the synths and the big music breakdown, in my head, the big dance moment, when a lot of those came together, it was just a feeling. I had a feeling and I was like, now I have something to bounce off of. As a final note, the music video is just incredible, and her dance break to the song when she performed it on SNL made me so happy because I just love how confident she is with her stage presence now. Dua mentioned that Falling Forever was the last song she made for the album, and though I like the song, it just feels like something is missing, but I'm not sure what. I do feel like this song will become a fan favorite, and one that Dua should eventually release as a single, as I could hear it used in commercials and movies. But overall, it is a song that is good for one of those adventurous, over-the-top, dramatic perfume or cologne advertisements. Anything for Love is unfortunately a snooze fest, and that is not what I was expecting. When I was watching Dua's interviews and how she talked about this particular song, I was hoping it would be this epic song that finally expresses the importance of fighting for your relationship and not giving up at the first sign of conflict, but sadly, it failed to deliver a convincing rationale for those sentiments. Dua mentioned that every studio session with her team of collaborators starts with a conversation just bouncing ideas and perspectives, and that the concept of this song stemmed from the reality that we live in such a fast world where things are so easy to dispose of and people do not value relationships. I just think we could have scrapped the nearly 30 seconds of studio chatter and used that time to create a longer and more substantial song. Maria is an incredibly reflective and mature song that is a powerful admission to how transformational a person's ex could be for their current partner. Dua is open and honest, as well as acknowledging that she too was once a Maria, and she sounds genuinely grateful for how her previous influence could help yield a positive and healthy new relationship for her ex. When Dua said, "Never thought I could feel this way, grateful for all the love you gave, here's to the lovers that make you change," it exhibited what seems to be the apex of the radically optimistic era Dua is in. In the closing track, Happy For You, Dua said that she loves that song because it is about seeing someone who you were with move on and be really happy for them, and that she probably wouldn't have been able to write that song on her first or second record because she did not feel like she probably would have grown as a person or artist to see someone you love move on. I could tell that Dua is genuinely happy for her ex because it highlights how much love she had for that person, and that even though things did not work out, that does not mean they are a bad person. It reminds me of Ariana Grande's song, I Wish I Hated You, from her latest Eternal Sunshine album, that shows that both women are able to compartmentalize and wish the best for their exes. The song itself is pretty lackluster to me, and I do not see myself revisiting it often. Or at all. For this album, Dua collaborated entirely with her trusted songwriters Caroline Island, Danny L. Hara, and Tobias Jesso Jr., as well as tapping on the bandleader Kevin Parker from the band Tame Impala, in which Dua said they called themselves the band as they were essentially a spiritual band. What I loved the most about this album was that the production was so transcendental and just otherworldly. The psychedelic elements radiate so divinely on the first half of the album, but after Illusion, I think those components fell short, which made the last few tracks feel empty, contrived, and lifeless. Don't get me wrong, the first half of the album is exceptional, but I will admit that listening to the album in its entirety, the undeniable best song is Houdini. Considering that it was the first single, and it's been a couple months since its release, It is perplexing to me that it has not made a similar impact to the masses in the way that Don't Start Now or even Levitating made with her second album. Personally, streaming numbers and chart success does not matter to me, nor does it dictate the quality of the record, but considering the amount of promotion and the well thought out rollout for Radical Optimism, it is nonsensical why Dua's musical evolution is still reliant on being a slow burn over time. It just seems like there is still a huge disconnect between Dua and the general public despite all of her efforts. It might be due to her ability to separate her private life from the public sphere, being that she is not as vulnerable on her records. But regardless, we will see how this album ages over time. As a Dua fan, I value her reinvention and effort to bring forth creative innovations to the pop music genre, and I think this album would sound even 10 times better when it is performed live. But while I can hear Dua's lyrical and vocal growth in this album, future nostalgia still reigns supreme because it was just an immediate cultural shift, and that type of feeling is hard to replicate, especially these days in the pop landscape. When discussing her creative process for the album, Dua said future nostalgia was my chance for me to do a very polished pop dance disco record, and after having done that and doing 97 shows and toured and danced my butt off and had so much fun around the world, this album was so much about how do I take my most favorite things from the whole experience and create something unique. And a lot of that was the live instrumentation, how things felt so organic, spontaneous, and free-flowing in the moment, and how they would evolve on stage. I wanted to recreate that for Radical Optimism when I was going into the studio to make this. In terms of the melodies and sounds, it was so much more free-flowing, and it didn't have a formula per se, but I always had that pop sensibility in the back of my mind. But I wanted to just experiment and try to create something new. But I think this was always kind of the album that I've always wanted to make. As a side note, when Dua first revealed the album title, I was like, Radical Optimism? Okay. Because although it seems obvious, I did not really understand her theme given her first two singles, Houdini and Training Season. But Dua explained that she learned the concept from one of her friends, as it is about keeping an optimistic mindset and the idea of going through chaos gracefully and feeling like you could weather any storm. Understanding the intention behind the title made me appreciate the cover art even more, as it depicts Dua in a state of peace and comfort even in the presence of dangerous waters. Overall, I am happy for Dua's growth and evolution because I could tell she really worked hard in every aspect to improve her artistry and become a better version of herself professionally and personally. But I just want my girl to get the props she deserves because I don't think there are any other pop girlies experimenting and reinventing their sound the way that she is. I would say my favorite songs would be End of an Era, Houdini, French Exit, Whatcha Doing, and Training Season. And as soon as Dua is ready to announce the tour, I will be there. But hopefully it will be next year because there are way too many artists going out on tour this year. Please let me know in the comments what you all think of Radical Optimism and how you would rank it against Dua's previous albums. What are some of your favorite songs so far? And let me know what you think of Dua's approach to this project and if you think it will have as much longevity as future nostalgia. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell, and I'll see you next time.